Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 18 of the Process Debt podcast. Today, I want to talk about how difficult it is to just get people to adopt. And I think that this is really a manager's biggest challenge, which is to stick out, to basically sell themselves, to build value, and also maintain just the business structure. And I think it's really critical to for managers really not to turn over the apple cart here. And what do I mean? Well, I think a lot of times businesses, especially as you head up in the ranks, what matters oftentimes is whether something's pretty or whether it's polished. And a lot of times the person who's the flashiest can win. And so whoever has the best PowerPoint wins. And that may or may not have the best underlying data, the best underlying strategy. And so typically what happens is there ends up being, these games where it's like, well, let's make this better. Let's always perfect, always change, always change, always change. Well, if you're an executive and you're seeing these PowerPoints and they're always different, it is just ridiculously hard to be able to just a task switch or a context switch between different formats, different files, different sizes. One of the things that I've thought about as I've just seen a lot of PowerPoints in my career is oftentimes you don't know the size of the thing, and so you get a PowerPoint and it's just a single deck, and and it could be a single page on that deck, and you spend you know, 5 minutes on that page, and really what you're talking about is, maybe $1,000 worth of effort or, $100 here or $100 there. And then you go to another page and you're talking about $1,000,000 or, or maybe $10,000,000 that's the ask. And it's so hard to know how it compares to the whole. And so I was talking to a buddy today. It would be really nice on these PowerPoints if you could see, where does this compare to the whole? So let's say your budget is $100,000,000 and you want to spend 10, you could put it like a little pie chart up there where it showed 10% so that you could actually see, hey, is this a big problem? Is this a little problem? Is this something in between? So that you actually know where to spend your effort because you're not gonna move mountains by spending, all of this time on very, very little minute crazy things. And so I think one of the other things that I've thought is like anytime you change stuff, like that constant change just leads to this constant switch. And so I was looking somewhere and I was talking about Tim Cook at Apple, and they were talking about how he had his days were managed to the T, that basically, down to the essential minute, he was basically managed. And I think he had that structure, and you see this in athletes too, where when they have a pre-game routine that is just drilled in. And so it literally does not change. And what they're trying to do, I think oftentimes is they want to have as much control over as much as they can so that when they go into either a game, or Tim Cook sees a presentation, like he's able to be fully engaged. And so he has that focused effort. And so one of the things that I would just ask, like especially if you're a manager, is could I get three departments or three different teams to do this change with me? And I think if managers and executives just simply slowed down a little bit and thought to themselves, okay, I'm making a change, but one, am I deviating from the standard? And two, if I am deviating from the standard, could I get buy off and adoption from three other teams or departments? I think if managers would just simply ask that one little question, or the other question I like to ask is, how will we do this in 3 years? And I think it broadens the range so far because a lot of times we're dealing with deadlines. So it's just scrapping to get everything done. And at the end of the day, it's if 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 I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it for the next 3 years, what decision would I make? And I think what would happen is I think you'd make a lot less changes, but the changes that you make would be a lot more strategic. and it would force people into basically a common pattern that could be consumed in, specifically in meetings or in presentations, that you could be more grounded so that you could see the same thing. I think that's what the brilliance of Bezos at Amazon saying, "Hey, look, we're going to do a 6 pager, and that's just how you're going to do it." And they would go into meetings, and step one was read for 15 minutes. And so he gave people space to consume, to ask question. He forced people to write down on paper what they were thinking and clarify their thoughts. And I think that that's just really brilliant. And they use that the PR pre FAQs. Yeah, PRFAQs. Basically a great way that Amazon does their work. But so today the topic on this Fix It Friday, and it looks like we're going to be close to 5 minutes. So I blame Toby for going over on all the other ones. Is really ask yourself with 3 teams, especially if you're in a role of management, ask yourself, could 3 teams do this, and would we do this the same in 3 years? And if the answers to either of those is, I can't even, I couldn't get 3 other teams to do this, and we're not going to do this in 3 years, then just don't make a change. Like, stay the same, make incremental, smaller changes, and get better over time. Thanks again.